Today's lesson's exponential functions. We're going to deal with domain, range, and end behavior today. We should already have these graphs from the last lesson, so let's look at all the graphs and determine their domain, range, and end behavior. So how far does this graph go left? Well, it goes left forever, so we got negative infinity. How far does it go right? Positive infinity. Or we could write it as all real numbers. Either way. Range. How far down does this go? Well, it only goes down to 0, and it goes up forever. Since it doesn't touch 0, we have to put parentheses instead of a bracket. So we read this from 0 to infinity. Or, excuse me, between 0 and infinity. We could also write this y is greater than 0. Now let's look at the end behavior. What's happening on the left? The x's are going to negative infinity, and the y's are getting close to 0. We're on the right-hand side, on positive infinity for the x's, positive infinity for the y's. This graph, going left to negative infinity, going right to positive infinity, or all real numbers. Range. Here we go down to negative 3, and we go up to infinity. We're going to read this as between negative 3 and infinity, or we could say y is greater than negative 3. On the left-hand side, the x's go to negative infinity. The y's are getting close to negative 3. They approach negative 3. Right-hand side, as x approaches infinity, the y's are going up to positive infinity. Domain, going left to negative infinity, right to infinity, all reals. Range. Lowest we go to 0, and we go up to infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, y's approach 0. As x approaches infinity, f of x approaches infinity. Domain, we're still going all reals. Goes left forever and right forever. Range. The lowest we go here is 4, and we go up forever. So between 4 and infinity, or we can say y is greater than 4. As x approaches negative infinity, that's the left side. What are the y's doing? They're going down to 4. As the x's approaches infinity, that's the right side of the graph, the y's are going up to infinity. We're getting a little tricky here. We have an exponential decay. Still, we're going left to infinity, left forever, right forever, so we have all reals. Range, how far down does it go? 0, and it goes up to infinity. Or we could say y is greater than 0. As x approaches negative infinity, what's the left side of this graph doing? The y's are going up to infinity. Right side, the x's are going to infinity. The y's are going down to what number? 0. All reals again for domain, it goes left and right forever. Range goes down to 2, up to infinity. Or we could say y is greater than 2. On the left, x is going to negative infinity. The y's are going up to positive infinity. On the right-hand side, x is going to infinity. What's the y's doing? They're going down, getting really close to 2, but not touching. Domain, all reals again, goes left and right forever. Range goes down to 0, up to infinity. As x approaches negative infinity, that's the left side of the graph, what are the y's doing? Getting close to 0. So as x approaches negative infinity, f of x approaches 0. Now we're going to do the right-hand side. As x approaches infinity, y's are going up to infinity. So as x approaches infinity, f of x approaches infinity. This looks a little bit different. We're still going left forever and right forever, so our range is still all real numbers. Range. This time we're going down to where? Negative infinity. And we're going up, our highest is 0. So we would say between negative infinity and 0. We also could say y is less than 0. Left side of the graph, as x approaches negative infinity, the y's are getting close to what? 0. So as x approaches negative infinity, f of x approaches 0. Right side, as x approaches infinity, what's it doing on the right side? Going down to negative infinity. As x approaches infinity, f of x approaches negative infinity. Domain, still all reals. We're still going left and right forever. Range, my lowest value here is negative 3. We're going up to infinity. But also say y is greater than negative 3. As x approaches negative infinity, f of x approaches infinity. As x approaches infinity, f of x approaches negative 3. Here's a few for you to try on your own. Turn in. Here's a few more for you to try and turn in.